It's Thursday, October 30th. In the headlines, just about 490,000 customers are still without electricity. Jamaica's 3 international airports set to reopen. Dozens of families in danger of losing their homes in western St. Thomas. Regionally, Hurricane Melissa causes widespread destruction across Cuba and Haiti. And in sports, Trinidad and Tobago women go down to Jamaica in a friendly match. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Jamaica Defense Force has established a humanitarian and disaster relief task force to get aid to the parishes severely impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Speaking at the special press briefing on Hurricane Melissa recovery, Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says the officers are cutting their way through by foot beyond Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth.
Yesterday, they started the work to get to Westmoreland. They are cutting their way on foot through blocked roads, by foot. This is not easy work. So they were able to get to Black River through a lot of very difficult work and difficult conditions. They were also able to do Luana, Middle Quarters, and New Holland.
Dr. Morris-Dixon says ambulances are traveling with the task force so as to get to those in need of medical assistance as soon as the road is cleared. She says a helicopter has been designated to recover bodies.
They're also coordinating their ambulances behind that team that is going by foot, opening the roadway. There are ambulances behind them trying to get to the affected. I also have to note also that we are, and I don't see it here, so I'm going to have to find that one. I know one of the questions had to do with casualties, and I have an update from the JDF in relation to that, and I should give that to you. They have dedicated a helicopter to locate and coordinate the collection of any bodies that may be there.
Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, says over 70% of electrical transmission lines remain damaged. He gave an update during a special press briefing on Hurricane Melissa recovery.
Over 70% of transmission lines remain out of service due to the severe damage. Reconnaissance flights with the JDF will continue today to assess further damage. Distribution, over 52,000 customers were restored over the last 24 hours. Approximately 490,380 customers, 72% of the customer base is still without power. 70% of the distribution network is de-energized with only sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine and St. Thomas, the main areas being served.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon also reported progress in the ongoing efforts to reopen schools following Hurricane Melissa's passage. She says assessments are continuing across affected parishes to determine which institutions can safely resume face-to-face classes.
In the areas that were not badly affected, we're in Kingston, and when you drive around Kingston, you see some fallen trees, but it's not bad at all. That's not the case in other parts. So where we know that schools can resume, we will be doing so on Monday. But a lot of our schools do not have electricity and they do not have water, even in places that weren't as badly affected. And so we're doing the assessments and we're looking at an emergency plan. I've asked Senator Marlon Morgan to work primarily on this emergency plan because we're going to have a plan for children in Westmoreland, in Hanover, in St. Elizabeth, and in St. James. And so we are working through that and at the appropriate time.
The Kingston Harbour has reopened. Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon shared that detail during the latest press brief.
There are many entities that want to ship goods to Jamaica, and so the process of reopening the harbour started yesterday, and so the harbour is open. So let's talk about KFTL. Most of their berthing systems are intact and sound. There have been minimal damage to cargo, and so we expect that this morning it did happen. The harbour master declared the harbour open, and vessels can now come in. So KFTL and KWL will commence unloading of vessels and delivery of cargo. They started that at 7 a.m. this morning, and so the ports are opening. We also should note the waiving of storage fees until November 2. The Port Authority of Jamaica and the public wharves, KFTL, KWL, and port handlers will waive storage charges on containers for the period that the terminals were closed until the 2nd of November 2025.
All 3 international airports are now open to receive relief supplies. A Minister of Transport, Daryl Vaz, says the Cayman Islands was the first to land.
All 3 international airports are now open for relief supplies. We are expecting 9 flights. Cayman was the first this morning. Thank you again. And we expect 9 relief flights into Norman Manley. We expect 2 into Ian Fleming through American Airlines. And we also expect 2 into Montego Bay this afternoon with the operators of the airport, GAP, sending from Mexico 2 cargo jets with supplies and also, obviously, technical support for the airport.
He says the Norman Manley International Airport has resumed commercial flight service.
Norman Manley International resumed operations this morning for commercial passenger, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 flights in and out of Jamaica today. We have Cayman Airways, Aerojet, American, 2 flights, Caribbean, Copa, Air Canada, JetBlue, Cayman. So Cayman would have 3 actually, and Copa would have 2. That's arrivals, and of course those same flights will depart. So Norman Manley is back up for all intents and purposes, and will continue.
The Premier of the Cayman Islands, Andre Banks, along with ministers from his administration, brought $200,000 worth of aid to Jamaica. He addressed those in attendance at the special press briefing on Hurricane Melissa recovery on Thursday.
From our standpoint, the Cayman Islands has a deep heritage and history with Jamaica. As Mr. Vaz has mentioned, and as you also have mentioned, we have had our own experience with Hurricane Ivan, and Jamaica was there for Cayman. So we pushed aside our usual state business and got on the first flight that we could to pledge our support. We have brought over an initial round of about US $200,000 of key essential supplies. We also have pledged, and I've written a letter signed by myself to your Prime Minister of about US $1.2 million of goods that we will have, essential supplies and resources that we will have shipped directly to Jamaica. So just know, on behalf of myself and the government, ministers who are here, Minister J.E. Banks, Minister Nick DaCosta, and the Leader of the Opposition, Cayman stands with Jamaica. Thank you. We'll have a host of other colleagues and friends that will come in the coming days and weeks, but God bless you all. God is in control.
Chief Executive Officer of MBJ Airports Limited, operators of the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, Shane Monroe, says the airport sustained damage to sections of the terminal building and perimeter fencing. He made the disclosure while updating Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness following the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
Significant damage to the terminal building. We have a section where we lost a part of the roof. So all efforts are now underway to restore service as quickly as possible. We believe it has to be a phased reopening, focusing first on relief flights. That is our main priority right now.
Meanwhile, the airport is receiving relief flights, but limited commercial service should commence on a Friday in terminals that were not severely affected by the hurricane. 3 houses in Seaforth, St. Thomas were washed away during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The houses were located in Danvers Pen near the Johnson River that overflowed its banks during the heavy rains.
Where you can see a land in the middle there, that's where the river was. So it eats everything coming right now as you're seeing it. Because when I came here last night, I could stand further out in the water where you can see the water now. So I was standing out there last night because I helped to evacuate the persons to the shelters.
The residents say the buildings were not built on the riverbed, and they blame the lack of river training for the incident.
The level of river training that Jamaica requires, that West St. Thomas requires, I cannot say that their comment is incorrect. The Prime Minister did allocate funding for river training there, which has not been done. So yes, I would say that the residents are correct. We have to move quickly. We have to get through the procurement process. We have to deliver for the people that we represent.
With the river now flowing over what was a section of a parochial road, Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Western, James Robertson, says dozens of other families are in danger of losing their homes.
The Prime Minister has visited this area. He knows it well. He has allocated funding to protect Danvers Pen River training. That must be done. That's something that has to come first.
The Pan American Health Organization has activated its Emergency Operations Center in Barbados to coordinate the response to Hurricane Melissa. From this center, the damage to the health infrastructure in Jamaica and other affected countries is being assessed, with the goal of supporting the restoration of essential health services and ensuring continuity of care for the most impacted communities. In addition, PAHO's regional strategic stockpile in Panama is ready to dispatch 5.5 additional tons of humanitarian aid supplies as soon as the airport in Jamaica reopens. The shipment includes an interagency emergency health kit containing life-saving medicines and medical supplies and a non-communicable diseases kit, each sufficient for 10,000 people for 3 months. A trauma and emergency surgery kit for 50 patients, 50 medical backpacks, and a hurricane response kit, field care tents, water storage tanks, 300 treated mosquito nets, and personal protective equipment, including surgical gowns, gloves, N95 masks, and face shields. In regional news, Hurricane Melissa left dozens dead and caused widespread destruction across Cuba and Haiti. According to reports, Cuba suffered significant damage from the storm, and around 140,000 people were cut off by rising river levels. More than 20 people died in Haiti after a river flooded by Melissa burst its banks. 1 person died in the Dominican Republic. The storm is still expected to pass near Bermuda late Thursday morning or early Friday as a Category 2 or Category 1 hurricane, and any strengthening is not likely to have a significant impact on the magnitude of threats for the archipelago. In the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis touted the resilience of the Bahamian people in the face of another storm and said that regardless of the outcome, they are prepared to assist affected islands. More details from our news.
The Davis administration is keeping a close eye on Hurricane Melissa, which pounded several islands in the southern Bahamas today. The historic storm blasted western Jamaica, flooding streets, demolishing homes, damaging hospitals, knocking down trees, and washing out roadways, all before slamming into eastern Cuba and landing in southern Bahamas. Prime Minister Philip Davis told parliamentarians today his administration stands ready to respond.
As Bahamians, we know the toll of these storms, yet we also know the resilience of our people. We are prepared for this moment. And one thing is certain, whatever happens, we will rebuild, recover, and we will rise again.
The Prime Minister, who led debate on a bill to amend the Automatic Exchange of Financial Information Act, called Melissa a stark reminder of the threats of climate change.
We will continue advocating for climate justice on the world stage, demanding fair financing, and joining with other small island states to insist that the global community acts with urgency, compassion, and fairness. I'm confident that we will get results from our advocacy.
In Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Health Dr. Lakram Badeau says the population of Trinidad and Tobago remains vulnerable to mosquito-borne diseases. The minister made this statement as he opened a 2-day program hosted by the Caribbean Public Health Agency on the prevention and control of outbreaks of Zika and other mosquito-borne diseases in the Caribbean.
In 2024, over 2,000 dengue cases with 19 deaths were reported in Trinidad and Tobago. Statistics revealed by Minister of Health Dr. Lakram Badeau. He noted that Aedes aegypti mosquitoes remain widespread across the country, with the risk of Zika, dengue, and other mosquito-borne diseases being ever present.
Our country continues to show progress with a notable decline in dengue cases in 2025. We keep our fingers crossed compared to 2024, reflecting to some extent the effectiveness of increased surveillance and vector control. Since the last recorded outbreaks, no confirmed local cases have been reported for Zika, I'm told, and only one chikungunya case has been reported.
The minister said CARFA's 11 TDF Zika program reinforces this country's national capacity for vector-borne disease prevention and control.
Through this initiative, extensive training has been provided for our insect vector control personnel in areas such as GIS mapping, new vector control technologies, integrated vector management, surveillance and database systems, and insecticide resistance testing.
Dr. Badeau officially opened a new mobile insectary at CARFA's headquarters in Port of Spain. Director of Surveillance, Disease Prevention and Control Division at the organization, Dr. Horace Cox, said the testing of mosquitoes to learn if they are resistant to chemicals used to control them is just one of many activities conducted at the facility.
So the improvements include improved infrastructure, more equipment, improved process flow, because we have now a larger facility, and of course we would have used all the experiences from the previous one to inform not only the design, but the building of this one. So we're very happy today to commission this because we really feel that it will resonate with in addressing the need that exists at member state level.
Dr. Badeau and Dr. Cox made their comments at CARFA's program for health system strengthening for prevention and control of outbreaks of Zika and other mosquito-borne diseases in the Caribbean. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
Guyana may be small in size, but it's making big impression on the world stage. President Dr. Mohamed Ifran Ali is calling for greater recognition for small developing nations, saying their size should never limit their ability to compete globally. Speaking at the 9th Future Investment Initiative in Saudi Arabia, President Ali made a strong case for countries like Guyana as models of transformation, sustainability, and leadership in global development.
Everybody in this room would say Climate change is a big problem. The tropical forest is a big problem. Deforestation is a big problem. And here is a country that is providing the solution to these problems. Here is a country that has kept the standing forests intact, and we don't know. And that is the problem. That is the problem. We don't know because the direction in which we're going is different from the challenges the world is facing. But if I flip the coin and I ask you, which is the fastest growing economy in the world? Which country has some of the largest oil reserve discovered? Then suddenly, all the investors, it is Guyana. Same country, different script.
Amazing.
So I believe that we have to examine our priorities. And if we speak about climate change, energy security, food security, ecotourism, human capital development, and we try to lock our thinking only into the big country syndrome or the developed world syndrome, then we will not allow ourselves to understand what the rest of the world is doing and what the rest of the world is offering for the solutions of in terms of the challenges we face. We are leapfrogging into the 2030 and beyond world, where AI, data centers, digitization, and technology will play an important part. But whilst we are doing that, we are also investing in the traditional sectors, ensuring that we position ourselves as a food capital of the world, investing to ensure that we keep our standing forests standing for the sake of humanity. We're investing to ensure that we have the most skilled people, skilled population. And to do all of this, we know, like Qatar, we have to bring in talent, we have to bring in people, we have to bring in investment, we have to bring in technology. So that is what we are doing. We don't have the time or the human resource asset in terms of numbers to start from scratch. We have to bring in the models that are proven and then advance it for our own development.
Liat Air expects to have its full fleet operational by this year's end as it executes a major expansion plan. The carrier's chief executive officer, Hafsa Abdullah Salam, has also unveiled plans for new routes across the Caribbean and Central America. Samantha Simon reports.
Just over 1 year into operations, Liat Air is eyeing ambitious growth plans. CEO Hafsa Abdul Salam says the airline is working to ensure their current fleet is fully operational.
Our plans, our target, our workings is to have all 6 aircraft fully functional and operational by the end of the year.
The expanded fleet will support new routes launching in the coming months. In December, Liat begins flights to the Dominican Republic with service to Santo Domingo and Punta Cana. The airline is also adding service to Ogle Airport in Guyana, responding to passenger demand for easier access to Georgetown. One of Liat's ATR aircraft will be brought back into service specifically for that route.
We have customers who are seeking to travel to the city and want to be able to get about their day, pretty quickly without a long travel between the Tamari Airport and Georgetown itself.
Abdul Salam says the full fleet will allow Liat to optimize aircraft deployment, using jets for longer routes and ATR aircraft for shorter regional hops. Additionally, routes to Colombia, Belize, and other destinations are planned for the second quarter of next year. Samantha Simon, ABS News.
In sports, the Trinidad and Tobago's senior women's football team took a major step in preparing for their CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers when they faced Jamaica for the first time since 2018 in an international friendly match this week. Adrian Lazar brings us the highlights.
The Trinidad and Tobago senior women's football team, led by Kenya Cordner, returned to action under the lights in Couva to take on Jamaica, with both teams looking to get up to speed before their World Cup qualifiers in November. In the opening stages, a cross from AS St. Etienne and TNT fullback Katie Johnson tested the visiting goalkeeper. It was the visitors who opened the scoring when Ipswich Town's Natasha Thomas found Jodie Brown between two TNT defenders before the striker rifled the ball past TNT goalkeeper Nicolette Craig. The lead didn't last long when 15-year-old Pleasantville Secondary School player Nikita Gosang scored on her senior team debut in spectacular fashion. A goal that brought much joy to the home supporters. The Reggae Girls came back fighting when a cross from Denisha Blackwood found Tiffany Cameron, who struck the post. There would be no more goals in the first half, with the score reading 1-1. In the second half, a reverse pass from Natasha Thomas found Cameron on the right side, whose cross rebounded in the path of the number 18, who scored her first goal for Jamaica. 2-1 the score. Thomas nearly created a third when she found an open Kayla McKenna, who struck the side netting. It continued to be a game of first when Portuguese-based player Tiana Harris scored on her first appearance in Jamaica colours, 3-1 to the visitors. The Reggae Girls' domination persisted when Calissa Van Zatten breezed past Victoria Swift and keeper Nicolette Craig before her shot rebounded in the path of Brown, who grabbed her second of the evening. Van Zatten almost scored Jamaica's fifth after another dazzling run, but struck the post. 4-1 is how the game would finish as Trinidad and Tobago went down to Jamaica. Adrian Lazar, TTT Sport.
Despite suffering a heavy 4-1 defeat at the hands of Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago senior women's football team co-head coach Damian Briggs said he was pleased with his team's performance. He added that the fixture was more about assessing performance than focusing on the result to gauge where his team stands ahead of the World Cup qualifiers.
For co-head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago senior women's football team, Damian Briggs, their 4-1 defeat against Jamaica on Tuesday was a step in the right direction. The match provided Briggs with his first chance to see his players in game action since their training camp began as they prepare for CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers in November.
And it was really a pleasure to see the players so work to the game plan that we have and then adjust when we needed to adjust. And like I just said to them, don't let this result define who we are. Like I said in the interview before the game, are playing in season, where probably we only had 3 players that playing in season now that came from abroad. All the rest of the players were local, so we knew it was going to be a challenge.
Coach Briggs is confident that his team will be ready when they face Barbados in their opening Group F match.
We always want to add good players to the team, so we're going to discuss with the scouting network and the different people that's around, and we're trying to put together a structure that's going to carry us way beyond even just this World Cup qualifying campaign. And we know where we are now, we know what we need to add, and hopefully come Barbados we will be fully in one swing from a conditioning perspective and a footballing perspective as well.
The TNT coach added that going forward, a key area of improvement is the fitness of his players, an issue he believes will be solved in time for his next assignment. Adrian Lazar, TTT Sport.
Head coach of the Jamaica senior women's football team, Hubert Busby, dedicated their 4-1 win over Trinidad and Tobago to the people of Jamaica following the recent passing of Hurricane Melissa.
First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to let the people back home in Jamaica know our thoughts and prayers are with them. Stay safe and stay strong. This game is really about, and we spoke about, making sure we can go out there at the end of this game and give something to not just the Jamaicans on the island, but Jamaicans worldwide. We're going through a lot right now, and credit to the players and all of us really, who are impacted by what's going on at home. So, but first and foremost, like I said, we want to say, our prayers for everybody and hope everybody is safe.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.